But overall, it was a pretty entertaining DC animated universe movie, and I was thoroughly enjoed by it.
You were
I was thoroughly
I was thoroughly satisfied to completion by the animated movie.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Twin Talk, a video discussion show where twin brothers Chris and Kevin drink and draw while talking about comic books, movies, and all things pop culture. We are your hosts, Chris Hart,
Kevin Hart.
and today we're going to be talking about Justice Society, World War II.
Stick around to the end of the episode to see how a drawing of Jay Garrick as the Flash came out. And if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel for more content.
Justice Society World War II is the second installment in this new reboot, if you will, of the DC animated universe. We see the same animation style, which we adore, we love.
The Archer style.
Yeah, and I think it all feels very golden age all together, works very well for this.
Even the opening credits, it felt very much like the Twilight Zone, Abbott Costello, the way it kind of
it reminded me of Abbott Costello Meet Frankenstein, like those old 40s
the
crawls, intro title cards. Justice Society put in World War II, that's a perfect recipe for that team to showcase who they are. Yeah. I feel like the JSA doesn't get as much credit as they deserve because they're older, the golden age heroes. Some people consider them corny, but I feel like there's a market for that. Some people love those old classic 40s comics. When comics were used in World War II propaganda, DC Comics was heavily into that, back in the day. And I was hoping they'd play on that a little bit more, but overall
that would have been cool.
It would have been sick, but overall it was a pretty entertaining DC animated universe movie, and I was thoroughly enjoyed by it. I was thoroughly
satisfied to completion by the animated movie.
One of the things I was excited to see is that it starts with the Superman from Man of Tomorrow and the Flash running into each other.
Before that, we get Franklin D. Roosevelt assembling the Suicide Squad, if you will, of the World War II era.
I love how you cut me off.
Well, because it's in sequence. He goes out, he's like, who do we got? Give the slides. And the guy's going through the slide, the projector of the grayscale, Hawkman, Black Canary, Jay Garrick, the Flash, Hourman. That was a cool pick. And then also we have Wonder Woman leading the gang, if you will.
Which I thought was cool that they showcased them in the beginning, because not a lot of casual audience goers are going to understand who the JSA is, because they're kind of under the radar, honestly. You either love the JSA or you don't care at all about them. I would love to have seen a few more members from the JSA, like Wildcat. We get a little bit of Dr. Fate in this. But just different things like that, like a Star Spangled Kid. I would have loved to have seen all of that.
They kind of switched it up a little bit, mixed in the modern with the old. And so I'm kind of curious to see how they bring, because Black Canary, whether that's Dinah Laurel Lance or Laurel Lance, however you want to do it, is that the old relative of the Black Canary that we know now? How is she going to kind of get into the modern era if they're going to do that?
She'd be 130.
That's what I'm saying.
By the time the modern era DC comes back. But let's talk about that real quick, because we find out, I was wondering about this. I was like, okay, we see in the beginning Flash goes to catch the kryptonite bullet shot by Brainiac, which you thought was going to be a bigger player in this Brainiac.
Yeah.
But he kind of just gets, sniped.
Yeah, our Man of Tomorrow review was Lobo came probably at Brainiac's orders to find the last Kryptonian, the last Martian, because we know he's a collector of the last of the species. And he just kind of gets murked in this one. 1, 2, 3, we don't even see him. He's just invading Metropolis, because we got that seasoned Superman that we saw from Man of Tomorrow. I guess he's kind of like Ultron, though. You said, he's coming back. There's no way that they're just going to, one and done
Brainiac has become more of an intelligence rather than a being. So
an entity, yeah.
I'm sure he'll be back. He shoots his kryptonite bullet at Superman. The Flash runs to stop it, and he ends up doing what the Flash does best, messing up the timeline.
Yep.
And he goes into this portal, obviously, the Speed Force opens it up, and he finds out that he's in World War II, Germany.
We think it's on our Earth.
I thought it was on our Earth, too, because I've always wondered that, too. I know the DC has the multiverse, but I was are they going to go the multiverse route and do a separate Earth, or are they just going to do the past, where these legacy heroes are kind of now intertwined in the modern, because they said like, oh, how come nobody knows us? And the reason nobody knew them is because it was a separate Earth.
Yeah.
So that was a cool little revelation in the beginning, in the middle of the movie.
They kind of hid that well too, because me thinking about the timelines, because timelines could get murky with like Back to the Future and all. It's hard to write timeline stories, but they were like, oh, we have this war correspondent that's writing for us that is kind of like brooming over the fact that there's heroes operating on the Allied forces. So I was like, oh, that's cool, but then there's a twist involving that too that we're talking about. And they're going up against the Nazis, which, speaking of, I thought Wonder Woman was working with them based on how heavy her accent was. she was either Ukrainian, Russian, something Eastern European that was like definitely on the Nazi part of the Nazi party.
And even there was one shot where she's, I think, jumping on the tank, and me and Olivia, my wife, were talking about how the music was reminiscent of the
yeah. Even the way it was shot too. I was like, I've seen this in the first live action Wonder Woman movie.
Which is cool, because like you want, as a franchise, DC, you want the cartoons, the comics, the movies, the games, whatever. You want them all to be under that umbrella and be recognizable as these characters.
And I thought that her relationship with Steve Trevor was heartbreaking.
That was great.
This movie, he was great. Every day he's trying to get on his knee, propose to her. He's thirstier than a landscaper in the summer morning.
Get on your knees and tell me you love me.
Yeah, exactly. She just keeps denying him, playing hard to get, and I was like, all right, come on, Diana, that's a little bit ruthless.
I knew they were gonna kill him too. And
they kill him. He like sets it up. He's like, if I die,
I
want to go out, like, and it's like, okay, clearly we know he's dying. That's a little bit of foreshadowing there.
It was a pretty brutal death too. He got killed by like the trident, right?
Yeah.
And you like the way you heard it, it was like, he's like going through him.
He's got 3 holes in his chest. He looks like a human bowling ball.
Yeah. There was 2 emotional scenes in this movie that actually worked for me. The Steve Trevor thing, definitely, because they set it up from the beginning with that running joke of, oh, he proposes every day until he's dead. And then the other one too is, we know he's coming back too, because Hawkman's thing is he's reincarnates himself, trying to find that other half of him. But even his death in this one with Black Canary, it was like the music. I was just like, oh, wow, this is done very well. It was very emotional. Good payoff.
Did they have a little thing? Because she was very emotional. Black Canary,
I think
she was
emotional.
Into him. Yeah, that Hawkman died. And he's just like, you're just a friend. Shayara, I'm coming for you. He's like,
she got
completely friend zoned.
Yeah. But like that was cool, though, because when they meet this like psycho Dr. Fate in like the Nazi camp, he tells Barry basically like, oh, like the League, so telling him about his future, and then to Hawkman he was like, you'll find her again someday, talking about Hawkgirl. Cool. So I was like, that's really cool, like alluding to the future of these characters, maybe even this franchise in future movies. I was like, all right, set it up.
Because we saw Dr. Fate when Barry was going back in the present day back to the World War II, or the kind of like running the thing, like I guess like a Doctor Strange type, like seeing like the different possibilities of how the League would form or this or that, and how they would save the multiverse. So I'm excited to see what he does, because he kind of just like disappears.
Let's go back to Shakespeare real quick though, because you wrote in the notes Mustache Gate.
Oh yeah.
Which I didn't even think of when I saw it. I was like,
Superman with a mustache.
I wonder if
they
the writers,
went there.
I wonder if the writers were like, that was like a little like elbow, like they knew like, okay, we're gonna put a mustache on Superman in this movie and hope the fans see if they get the joke or not.
Yeah, he's just got like a FedEx package of
like he
Superman's
costume. I was like, okay, like it was kind of random. At the end, the climax of the movie, we see Superman, Shakespeare finally like takes his place in the world, because up until that point he was kind of just hiding his abilities and keeping a low profile.
He had a darker origin story than
whereas Flash and Justice League, they were Justice Society, they were like, oh, like you're the most powerful man on Earth, like you should be helping. And then at the end we see him just destroying these Nazi bombers. And I loved it too, because like we have the Fleischer, 40s cartoons, World War II era Superman, where back in the day Superman didn't fly, he would just jump over buildings, and it was cool seeing him like just jumping from plane to plane, destroying it, and then landing on the ground, like just old school Superman. I love that stuff.
Ate that up. He even had like the muted colors and everything too. The suit was like a little bit different than the modern day Superman, so that was cool to differentiate. Jay Garrick, Hawkman, and Hourman, they kind of got like sidelined a little bit. Jay Garrick had a little bit more to do with Barry Allen's The Flash, teaching him like the vibrating through things. He was like,
sick,
he's like, oh, I got this trick. Iris is gonna love it. And then Hawkman, again, we said, I love Hawkman, like one of the coolest designs to me in the DC universe, and the reincarnation aspect of him is like so intriguing. I can't wait to see him done live action. We know that
he was done.
The Rock's got Hawkman in his movie.
Hawkman was briefly in that CW show Legends of Tomorrow. I loved the way he looked live action.
Hourman 2, Rex Tyler, he creates Miraclo, however you want to say it. It's a drug that gives
steroids.
It's a drug that gives him powers for an hour. Therefore, Hourman.
HGH.
It sounds like a pill that I would see like advertised on a shady free streaming website. Miraclo.
Or extends. I've seen your prescriptions. Like you said too, they kind of get sidelined because you can't have. That's the problem with like team ensembles is that you can't showcase everybody. You have to kind of, sidelight some of them, and that's why the Flash is like the main audience member in this one. We go on the journey with Barry in this movie.
Matt Bomer voices the Flash. Ralph Boner. Matt Bomer voices the Flash. We know him from Superman Unbound. He lended his voice talent to that animation, but we also know him from the live action Doom Patrol. He's Larry Trainor, the Negative Man, so he's no stranger to the DC universe. Black Canary, though, that was an awesome scene of her like tearing up with Hawkman's death, and then she tears apart this like shark, pterodactyl, tiger, giant thing, whatever you want to call it, from the trench.
These new animators love kaiju.
Yeah,
they have like all these different monsters, but they are the trench monsters from Atlantis. We see Dr. Fate. He's in the Nazi camp. He gives the JSA the coordinates to the Bermuda Triangle, and that leads them to Aquaman and this advisor. Who I just found out a psycho pirate.
Like the whole movie. The movie ended. I waited for the end credits and everything. I was like, who was the villain? Who was this guy?
I thought it was gonna be Hitler. Like I would have been fine if they just did that. Like Hitler's running Atlantis. Like that would have been a cool take. That would have been Tarantino. Like take history,
very indie,
and then make it like suit your story, your fantasy story. But we see that they get to Atlantis and we meet Aquaman,
Nazi Aquaman. He's straight up. Hell's Hitler and everything. I was like, oh. I mean, blonde hair, blue eyes. How did we not see this? This is coming all along. Like, if the Nazi, idealism reached or influenced Atlantis, that's a crazy thought. And that's what I loved about this, like, Elseworld story. It kind of reminded me of, like, when Captain America became, like, a Hydra agent. And that was I did not see that twist coming. So that was pretty cool. Like, kudos to DC for going there. Yeah, but, man, I just never understood who that villain was that was, like, mind controlling everybody between Nazi Aquaman, Wonder Woman he got control of. They never, I don't think, established who he was. They just said like he was a pirate. So, through Wikipedia and Google, thank God that exists, because otherwise I have no idea who this villain is.
I had no idea what his name
was. When he first came up, I forgot that I was watching a DC title and I was like, Namor. Because he had like this underwater black hair. I was like, Namor. And then I was like, oh wait, no, King Orm. And I was like, who is this guy? Like every time I was like, are we getting a name here? Like, I just didn't know who he was.
I thought he was Ocean Master at first, but then I was like, I don't think they said he was his brother. They were just kind of like, oh, he's like the spokesman.
He said he was like a pirate that like got saved by the Atlanteans, and clearly he had these powers. They just never really. It was very brushed over.
I don't even remember how he.
Also, like how long was he dwelling under there? Like, how did he know that the JSA would come into this like Atlantean outpost for him to be like, now I have you? Like, how long were you waiting there? But again, going back to this Dr. Fate thing, it kind of reminds me of like Doctor Strange, who's like, there's only one outcome. And I feel like the DCAU is like plotting very heavily on Dr. Fate and like the society and the League coming together like through fate.
I would love to see in the future if they do a JSA JLA crossover, because
that'd be cool,
especially in this animation style. Oh God, it would be so beautiful.
Going back to the Atlanteans real quick, they reminded me so much of Mr. Freeze.
I was gonna say, I was like, they should choose different colors
at least. Yeah. There's a lot that was open ended though. Like even when this movie ended, I said before, I was like, I was waiting for like an end credit scene to kind of set up.
Yeah, me too.
Something else or close something that was in this movie, but all the setup was there, and so I guess it's like you said, just gonna carry over throughout this overarching animated universe.
One thing we see at the end is that Flash eventually gets back to his normal timeline. And him and Superman, they're like, wait, teammates? So we know that they're going to set up a Justice League. Again, I love the animation style, and I hope we see the JSA again, even more expansive in a future movie. And hopefully we get a team up between them and the Justice League in the future.
Because, I mean, the advisor, Psycho Pirate, whoever the heck he was, he just vanished. And there was no real, like, clear resolution of the team, the JSA, what was going to happen with World War II on that Earth. It kind of just like Steve Trevor kind of sacrifices himself. Wonder Woman's just like, you take the ring. This guy was only trying to propose to me every single day, but you take it because he spent his hard-earned dollar on this thing, and I'm not gonna wear it. I was like, man, what a disrespect. But it was kind of like an allegory for like Flash's conflict at the beginning of the movie. Iris West, just like the CW Flash, just slowing my man down. The old ball and chain, you know what I'm saying? Like,
the balls
she's
and
just
chain.
like, Barry, it's been years. Like, she's like, when are you gonna put the ring on? So that kind of was like a nice, bookend to the story, and so I'm excited to see where it goes in the future. What did you guys think of Justice Society World War Dos? Anyways, that about wraps up today's episode of Twin Talk. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment below to join the discussion, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content. We'll see you next time. Peace!